G'day, it's AJ. And I wanted to take a moment to pay my respects to elders past, present, and those emerging, and send them our love, send them our deepest regards and respect for the way they have walked, for what they've shown us as the way to move forward into the future. You know, Steve Jobs once said that in order for us to appreciate life, that it was much broader when you discover this one simple fact, that everything around you that you call life is made up completely. This phone is made up. This pen is made up. This mug, made up. And so it's made up by people that are not necessarily any smarter than you. And so once you know that, once you appreciate that you could change that you could create your own things, you can influence everything. You know, life expectancy around the world has been exponentially changing. A baby that was born in 1900 had a life expectancy of 32 years of age. But a baby born now in the world has doubled in their life expectancy to at least 71 years of age. So we are living so much longer. With all that longevity has also come two new stages in life, two new inventions by people. And they've been made up exactly like Steve Jobs said they could be. And those made up stages, phases in life are adolescence and retirement. Because let's face it, back in 1900, you went from being a young child to early into your teens, and then you tended to go straight from primary school, say, into work. You got married before the age of 20. You would have had children by then because your life expectancy was short. So all of that happened early. If you think about, you hear stories of Romeo and Juliet, we forget that they were like teenagers. And then there's retirement. It's a phase that's been added in because we're living so much longer. And originally the retirement age was 65, because for the average man, they lived to be 67. And so the pension was really only enough to keep them going for a couple of years. And so much of our world is constructed by people, by what we believe. But I want to challenge some of that. I want to encourage you to think about, how could we shift this dynamic? Now that we're living longer, now that we have more opportunity, technology, things at our fingertips that are shaping and changing the way we live. There are now robots that can replace some of our work and manual labor. There's AI and tools that help us extrapolate our thinking, build on it, make it even better. And so what about for us? What does that mean for our careers? What does it mean for organizations that once had people retiring and out the door at age 65? I was talking to a gentleman yesterday who's retiring next year. He'll be 69. And he was saying he can remember when his father worked for the government in a munitions company, and the day he hit 65, on his actual birthday, they served him his retirement letter and he was out the door. So there wasn't even any question of working longer, even if you wanted to. But fast forward to now, to today, and let's think about leadership, companies, how we work in the world. Do you feel like leadership globally is kind of falling short of its potential of where it could go? That as individuals, we could expand into even more creative, more fulfilling, more stimulating careers that could be exactly what would make our hearts sing. Do you feel that if we challenge this conventional thinking, if we got a little bit more crazy and radical and stop just going because this is the way we've always done it, that we could actually change the dynamic in the future? That the approaches of leadership that we follow and the groundings of that are so valuable. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, traditional leadership models, 5 habits or 5 dysfunctions of a team, all of those great things have been around 30 or 40 years. And so could we flip a switch and start thinking about what could be the next chapter? What might that look like? And the reality is, as Steve Jobs said, we have permission to make it up. That we could create cultures and companies that people want to come to work for, that we feel proud of, that we are creating every day by living our legacy, something that future generations will feel far beyond us. I know I think that's possible. And so do many of my peers and other leadership experts that are looking at the way we do work and thinking about it differently. Because if we can be in the right frame of mind, the right brain, we can consciously create, direct, shape everything about leadership. It's time for it to evolve. It's time for it to change. And one of the ways I think we can begin by doing that is by thinking about a new phase, a new era called steward eldership. And steward eldership could fit smack bang in that space between our career and where it's going and retirement. That quite literally, with the years that we're living now, we could add in another 10, 15, 20 years of giving great value to society, to our companies, to populations. Now, I'm not saying if you want to retire that I'm stopping you from going on your cruise ships, playing golf and doing all the fun things, being a grandparent, looking after your family. I'm not trying to stop you from that. I'm not saying that we should work hard and no play forever. But I am saying there's this golden age, this era, our silver years, right? Where we could actually be adding so much value in the workplace because of the wisdom that we've accumulated over time. That as steward elders, we could help empower new workers and people coming into the workforce, that we could help support people to work intelligently, not laboriously, that we could support people to walk right way with their heart open, that we could help people create a space for reflection and celebration and deep thinking, that we could use our beautiful emotional intelligence skills and our soft skills to help people learn to speak the truth with empathy. And so I'm suggesting we don't retire people early. I'm suggesting we find new ways to work, new ways to support an elder. And by elder, I don't mean elderly. I mean a senior person who has life experience. We could support them to stay on in a workplace on their terms, maybe 2 days a week, maybe come in 1 week a month, maybe just now and then. A role, a title, a position that reports to no one, that has no emails, that has no direct reports, but a position where someone could love all, serve all, honor all, where they could hold the space for the community, for the culture, for the growth of the company, where they can be custodians and guide and protect and serve the future generations, where they would be looked up to, not seen as someone, as something to go on a discard pile. So instead of just retiring them, let's honor them. First Nations, traditional tribal groups around the world have always celebrated their elders. Unfortunately, in business, we don't do that so well. We don't see these people with wisdom, and they could be young elders. It could be in their 30s that they are already established in a career and in an industry where there are a lot of other young people coming up. It could be someone that's nearing retirement and is looking for, how else might I add value so I don't just get discarded? And so that all these years where I've been honing my craft isn't just gone to waste. So let's celebrate steward elders. Let's start to look at those who can truly start to live in this space where they're not attached to their career or climbing the ladder, where they're maybe in a space where they could give or volunteer or do so just in a different way, where they practice the term summum bonum, which means to voluntarily serve the highest good with humility. I know I've had many, many steward elders in my life. What about you? I've had people who have supported me professionally, emotionally, in sports, in my spirituality, to grow, to learn, to deal with this dear little ego, to learn to let go of some of that, to learn to sit and just listen, to practice Tadiri, right? What about you? Who have been some of your elders? Maybe they're grandparents. Maybe it's been a boss at work. Maybe it was your scout guide, right? It could be someone who's just had an influence in your life. And I want to ask you a question. When was the last time you thanked that person? When was the last time you honored them and said thank you for that contribution that they made to your life? How often have you done that? So my invitation to you is to write a letter to them, even if they've passed over to Sky Country. I encourage you, the process of reflecting, writing it down, is how we sing up our elders. And just like we learn to sing up country, to walk country, to sing up the land, we can sing up each other. We can sing up our elders. And instead of just celebrating youth, which is so valuable and important, but instead of just always looking for the next thing and the newness, let's take some time to celebrate the elders, celebrate the wisdom, celebrate the knowing, celebrate those who are walking more consciously. So if you want to do this, you can do it yourself. And I also have a great little form on my website. If you go to alexandrajoy.com.au, you can send a letter to someone who you want to thank, someone who has done right by you. There's going to be a link in this below. I encourage you to send them a letter, sing them up, tell them how they've helped you. Many blessings.